Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today we're going to be talking about SOS and their Bitcoin mining operations, as well as a bit of comparison towards Marathon, so stay till the end. Let's jump right into this one. So SOS, this one has a lot of competition. People are looking at Riot and looking at Mara and then seeing that SOS perhaps is a little bit fundamentally undervalued, but in terms of the longer term, they're seeing a lot of potential. And for this, I do want to go over today some of the things that we can be expecting PRs for. And so we have the news of them acquiring 15,645 mining rigs for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And this seems to be just the start for gaining momentum in terms of adding more miners and expanding their operations. And from there on, we see that their first batch was actually delivered on February 9th, installed around 2 weeks later on February 23rd, and then their second batch, was actually delivered on February 24th and installed on March 15th, which just means one thing. If you do notice, there's almost around 2 weeks intervals. Even that they did go ahead and they said that the next batch is coming in somewhere around April 15th. Well, the last batch for the second batch was actually estimated for a time installation of March 14th. So that means that they usually have 2 weeks gap between installation and whatnot. So by the end of the month, we should have the third batch coming in for 5,646 mining PCs. So that is again something to keep an eye on for. It's another bullish indicator that the market will probably reward its investors and traders with a bullish move. But we need to take another look in terms of their previous financials. And before even going towards some even further due diligence that I did find, I want to compare two things. So the two things here I want to compare is their quarterly results in terms of between SOS and Marathon. And we're looking to compare these one's financials just quickly here. So we're taking a look into, let's say, an annual results. You're looking at Mara hitting around negative 10 million in terms of revenue for 2020. And in terms of SOS, they decreased their losses massively, coming in from the year over year from 2018 negative 66 million to around negative 10 million in 2019. 2020 results aren't updated yet, but so far based on the results here for TTM, it looks like it's positive, so I'm not sure exactly what that is looking like, but a little bit of comparison of where SOS miners are versus what Marathon is sitting at. So they acquired around 15,645. The total numbers of Marathon currently is sitting somewhere closer towards 103,000 miners, 103,120 miners total. So that produces around 55 to 60 Bitcoins a day. Now, I did go ahead as well and I found this amazing due diligence from Atmos Lab, and we're going to go a little bit over this one just to get a bit of perspective into others' opinions. Again, this is someone else's opinion, this is not my opinion, and so we're going to go through it again. And I did reach out to this person today to see if they would like to explain a little bit better, so hopefully we might get an update for this as well. So a lot of this data is actually coming in from other PRs when I reviewed it. So SOS Limited activity, they provide a wide range of mining and analysis services for corporates, including, I did cover that before, SaaS, Emergency Rescue Services, and they just recently, they have their crypto mining operations adding. So for their mining cryptocurrency activity, they have around 15,465 batches. Just to confirm there, I think it's a typo. It's 15,645. And again, I'm also still proofing this one as well. I'm not just throwing information at you from others. So we're still looking at that 5,645 batch that will not arrive on or about the 15th. In fact, we're able to see it all right on here. Oh, my bad. It's right on here. That's actually delivered over 3 times installments, so it's expected to be on April 15th. However, we see that these are more off the installation dates. March 15th was the installation date for the second batch, so we expect it to come ahead of time somewhere at the end of the month and installed around April 15th. Again, this is not a typo here, it's just mainly what my expectations is. So we're expecting it to be fully functional perhaps by mid-April. They're saying by end of April or early May. Yeah, I think it's a little bit earlier than that, from my opinion, based on what we're seeing. And what kinds of rigs that SOS bought? According to the company PR given, the one they shared there, Momentum T2T and A10 Pro models, which models are these and their specifications. They're giving us here a bit of a description from Amazon. So anyway, we're seeing bunch of details. Doesn't really matter for me as long as we're comparing hash rates in general. And the vital question is that where are the rest of the 16,785 minus 5,645? So this is a little bit wrong because it's 15,645 rigs, and the answer is possibly in the specific comments of SOS Limited. Some of the rigs include components which are similar to those contained in the HY Momentum T2 and HY 810 Pro, although they're not necessarily particular branded models. So they're talking about a bit of discrepancy there, and they're answering it themselves as a retail analysis. So moving on, will SOS stop buying miners in 2021? They think not, which is their opinion, and I think this is actually just a start, so I agree with them on that sense. And in their opinion, they're going to go ahead and expand it for two reasons. China's electricity is cheaper, and the working hand or the minimum wage there is almost null. So running these wouldn't be as expensive as something like Marathon, where they're running it in the US. Anyway, moving on. With these 15,645 rigs, mining activities ongoing according to SOS Limited after the press release issued on the 15th March 2021. The first batch is 175p for Bitcoin, the second batch is 353p for Bitcoin and 707G for Ethereum, and 168 for Bitcoin and 375G Ethereum for the third batch. And they did some calculations there in terms of the hash rates, the cost per kilowatts per hour, etc. And they found that probably they're going to get a revenue there of $20.77 million profits per year. From Bitcoin and from Ethereum, you're looking at $40.96 million profiting per year. And so these are actually nice numbers. That's just only on the first batch. And coming on from the second batch, you're looking a little bit off higher numbers here. So profits per month is increasing to 2.24 compared to 3.37. So that's additional actually. And moving on here, assumption for the second batch of the rigs that they've made in terms of this calculation. And they basically said that it will give them an additional of $3.4 million. And their assumptions here is that by driving Bitcoin and Ethereum hash rates to the total hash rate of the two batches, you get a portion which is multiplied with the number of machines announced in the press releases for the lots of the rigs. And then therefore, I assume that the second batch had 4,057 rigs for Bitcoin and 943 rigs for Ethereum, giving an online mining farm of 9,057 rigs for Bitcoin and 943 for Ethereum. The third batch is expected to have 5,181 rigs for Bitcoin and 465 rigs for Ethereum. So quite a good math there. So total profits by 2021 by the lot of 15,646 rigs by SOS. They're estimating that the total profits there are sitting from 2021 with only these rigs are somewhere around $47.7 million. Again, this is the table that they've gone with it. And the assumptions for the calculations are right here, including the price of Bitcoin being somewhere around 55,000 and Ethereum being around 1,700 roughly, and energy consumptions, etc. Anyway, moving on. Calculations of energy cost of mining, they did go ahead and assumed one of 0.0461 based on definite agreements with a cost of 22 to 38 RMB per kilowatt hour. And break-even point on Bitcoin mining and Ethereum minings, they also gave a little bit of the different prices per Bitcoin. So for per Bitcoin, it's 25,223. For Ethereum, it's $35. So that's the cost of energy that is equal to the value of the mined crypto. So price of SOS Limited and attacks in recent period. Most of retail investors are very unhappy with the price of the stock. SOS Limited has since peaked on the 17th of February 2021 at $12.80. The stock has declined to the minimum price of $4.77 on 26th of February 2021. And let's see the reasons they analyzed, understand where we are and where we can go. And they do talk about the direct offerings that they have raised. And they're right. There's a lot of money that they're sitting on. There's a lot of cash. You're looking at 96.7, 86 million, 110, 25 million. So they are sitting at a lot of cash and they have zero debt, which is correct as well. And so what they're looking at there is that they're saying the amount of the current cash is great size for SOS Limited and its market cap that it has. Almost 40% of its current market cap is in money. Money is in cash. And huge offerings in short period of time produced a great cash availability for the company to buy more miners during 2021. And Also, they went on with pending events in the future, so I've already done that, so I'm not going to go through there, except one of them that I did mention way before. 15th of May or to 15th of June is the quarter one earnings for 2021 release. And they still have outstanding revenue growth that is expected for the full year of 2020. So we're looking into that. And they do have a bit of ending comments and price targets in there. I'm not going to go through their price targets, but we get a little bit of perspective there over this entire video on what we're looking at between SOS and Marathon. And I hope this video is giving you a bit of perspective on their future. And if you would like to actually see a bit more of these kind of content, make sure to subscribe, leave notifications on, drop a like, tell me what you think down in the comments below, or even better, join me on the Discord in the description. So now we can move on towards the technical analysis. And onto the technical analysis now. On a 1 week perspective, what we're seeing here is that the 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA, which is really bullish. And what I'm trying to say here is this is the trading action zone. So this is where positive reversals are actually likely between the 554 and the 367. So if it does dip within that region, we can start expecting positive reversals to occur, and that's definitely a bullish thing. Now, on a 1 day perspective, things are looking quite interesting because the MACD is attempting a positive reversal, and it seems that it's actually on the way to do so. And so the next few days, Friday and Saturday are going, and Monday are going to be very substantial to see if this actual MACD holds up their positive reversal, or will it get denied. And it looks like there's a very strong resistance, and I'll talk about that in a second. Momentum is still above zero. The ADX is a little bit seeing a little bit of stabilization, which is a good thing. And William Person R is a tad overbought. Now, the moving averages are still looking bullish, but showing a little bit more of an accumulation period than a breakout. On a 2-hour perspective, things are looking quite interesting. The most interesting thing here is that it's currently in the trading action zone between the 789 and the 753. That's where positive reversals are likely. We're yet to see still what happens next, but things are looking a little bit trading sideways and looks a little bit dangerous in this sense. Now, on a moving average band, you're seeing that this one is expected to trade at 795 in the top, 723 in the middle, and 651 in the bottom. 1003 and 443 is the Bollinger Band's width. Now, in terms of stochastic fast and stochastic slow, what we're seeing here is that something is quite interesting happening. It's kind of curving a little bit down, which is saying be careful because it might be actually approaching a resistance, which is currently true. This is a very hard resistance we're looking at, very close to around the $9. But before we do on towards the resistances, this one has a really interesting trend line. If you've seen this trend line, it looks really bullish. It's moving upwards and it hasn't broken yet. And this trend line, currently the bottom of it, or where the trend line would meet the price point, would be somewhere around 660. And from there on, we can go ahead and start looking at Fibonacci retracements from 1588 all the way down to, let's say, $1.78. And what we're seeing is a significant support level at the 716. Following that is the 510 and then $1.77. Significant resistances are 882, 1049, 1286, and 1588. We can start going ahead and try to look into the price line actions to where the significant supports and resistances are. Significant support 753. Below there you're looking at 697. Below there you're looking at 586, 525, going down towards the 434, and then down a little bit to 322, and then 195. Significant resistances are as follows: 822, and then you're sitting at 898. That's a very, very strong resistance. Following that is 978, 1052, 1186. We're going on to 1278 and 1505. Comes to the question too, and what do you think about this one? What's going to happen? Well, I think that they're going to be for sure adding more miners in the future. This is not their entire company. Their entire company has other factors. So if Bitcoin, for some miraculous reason, crashes to the ground tomorrow and comes, I don't know, $1,000, which is kind of almost impossible in this sense, this one still will survive because they have enough cash, no debt. And Bitcoin is not the only thing, or crypto mining is not the only thing that is holding this one. Nonetheless, they have a lot of cash and no debt, and they're able to go ahead and buy more miners, which I think they will most definitely do. And they will use public offerings or direct offerings to fund that mining operations of increasing miners or buying more miners, etc. Which is definitely a bullish thing for long term, because the market is currently really hot on Bitcoin and we'll love to see a bit more of that. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. Have a wonderful day.